I've been doing food delivery for a while now, and honestly, it's not bad. Most nights are predictable, just driving around, listening to music, and dropping off food. But there was one night that left me questioning everything. It was a rainy Friday night, and business was booming. I had just dropped off an order and was sitting in my car, waiting for the next one. My phone buzzed, a new request. The pickup was at this tiny mom-and-pop diner about 10 minutes away. The drop-off location was in a rural area outside of town. I hesitated because I don't like driving too far out late at night, but the payout was great, so I accepted. When I got to the diner, the place was almost empty. The waitress, an older woman with a kind smile, handed me the order. She seemed surprised when I told her the address. "You're delivering out there?" she asked, her tone a little uneasy. "Yeah, why?" I replied, trying not to sound concerned. She hesitated. "That's pretty far, and not many people live out there anymore. Be careful. The roads can get tricky." I nodded and left, brushing off her comment as small-town caution. The drive was peaceful at first. My car's headlights lit up the wet road, and the sound of rain pattered softly on the windshield. But as I got closer to the address, the atmosphere changed. The GPS led me down a narrow, winding road surrounded by dense trees. The rain was heavier now, and a thick fog began to roll in, making it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. Finally, I saw the turn for the house. The driveway was long, gravelly, and lined with overgrown bushes. At the end of it was a small, weathered house with a single porch light glowing faintly through the fog. I parked my car and grabbed the food. As I walked up to the house, I noticed something odd. There were no other lights on inside, just that one dim bulb on the porch. I knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. I was about to turn around and leave when I heard a voice behind me. "Over here." I spun around and saw a man standing at the edge of the driveway, partially hidden by the fog. He was wearing a raincoat and his face was shadowed by the hood. "You're the delivery driver, right?" he asked. Yeah," I said, holding up the bag. "Are you Mr. Davis?" He nodded. "That's me. Sorry, I was out back. Just leave it here." He pointed to a small table near the porch. Something about his voice made me uneasy. It was calm, almost too calm, like he was trying to sound normal but didn't quite get it right. I placed the bag on the table and turned back to him. "Do you need me to confirm the delivery in the app?" "No, that won't be necessary," he said quickly. "You can go now." I hesitated. "Are you sure? I need to mark it as delivered." He stepped closer, and for the first time I could see his face, or at least part of it. His skin was pale, almost gray, and his eyes, they didn't look right. They were too dark, like there was no light in them at all. "Just go," he said, his voice sharper now. I didn't argue. I hurried back to my car, got in, and locked the doors. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The man was still standing there, watching me, but he was farther away now, much farther than he should have been, considering how little time had passed. It didn't make sense. When I got back into town, I checked the app to see if the delivery was marked complete. That's when I noticed something strange. The order was gone. Not just incomplete, completely gone. There was no record of it, no address, no payment, no name. I called the support line to report the issue, thinking it was a glitch. The woman on the other end sounded confused. "Are you sure you delivered to that address?" she asked. "Yes," I insisted. "It was a house out in the middle of nowhere. A man named Mr. Davis placed the order." There was a long pause. "Sir," she said finally, "we don't have any customers by that name, and the address you gave, that property's been abandoned for years." I hung up, my heart pounding. I couldn't stop thinking about the man at the house. Who or what was he? And why did the order vanish from the system? A few days later, curiosity got the better of me. I drove back out to the house in broad daylight. When I got there, the driveway was overgrown with weeds, and the house looked even more run down than I remembered. I knocked on the door, but of course, no one answered. As I was leaving, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. On the porch, right where I had left the food, was the bag, untouched. The food inside was completely rotten, like it had been sitting there for weeks. I don't know who or what I delivered to that night, but I've never taken another order outside of town again. Some places, some people, they're better left alone. If you're ever out late at night and something feels off, trust your instincts. Sometimes the scariest part of the job isn't what you see, it's what you can't explain.